win.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the ISA podcast. And we have a new edition today. And today I'm going to speak about the chances of success if you want to become an entrepreneur. And basically, I pulled a lot of data out of from the internet, from the Bureau of Statistics in the Netherlands, and I tried to look worldwide for, okay, what are now the chances of you making it as an entrepreneur? And let's say sole proprietorship, meaning you as an individual yourself. There are also other statistics, obviously, for larger corporates or bigger companies, but most people start as an entrepreneur by themselves, and from there they work their way up to whatever level they may get at. And I wanted to really talk about this subject for a very long time, because I've been saying for like 10 years, well, actually more, almost 15 years, that the chances of you making it as an entrepreneur in the long run are less than 5% and maybe even 1%. That was my claim always. And the problem for me is I could never really back up that statement, because in the United States, the way that they track statistics is very in detail. So if you go look at the United States, you will find a lot of information, paid and unpaid, about, okay, the current situation of markets, the current situation of entrepreneurship, and what is like the chance of me getting to that. But recently, it was December 23, 2023, the Central Bureau of Statistics in the Netherlands gave a 10-year study about how sole proprietorship, or in the Netherlands we call it ZZP, how these people, how was their career, how did they make money, and what happened to them in those 10 years. And it was a fascinating find for me. So currently what we're working at is, after the show, we'll put our links and data into our ISA link tree. So if you want to check where we get the statistics from, what they're based on, we'll add them to the link tree. And we'll also try to formulate our own document for you guys, so that in, let's say, a little bit more easier language, we'll try to create a PDF white paper for you to be able to read, okay, so these are the actual statistics. So for you to always, for you to understand, okay, what is entrepreneurship, first of all, and what are like the statistics. So today, what I would like to do is, first, I just want to start with the general concept of what entrepreneurship is. Because, you know, a lot of people, they come to me, you're an entrepreneur, and I also want to be an entrepreneur, and I love being it. You have the freedom, you have the this, and you have the that. Let me tell you something, guys. Being an entrepreneur in general is not fun. I'm just going to give it to you straight. Being an entrepreneur in general is not fun, because everything is always your fault. You need to do everything yourself. You need to be the salesman, you need to be the customer service, the toilet cleaner, make the product, do whatever, right? Everything is dependent upon you. Yeah, you have more freedom and you can make your own decisions, but that it comes with consequences and comes with cost. And I think nowadays we have come into an age where people say, I'm just going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, but people really don't have any idea what that means. I think when people hear entrepreneur, I'm going to be this guy who just sits from his laptop behind at home, and I live this nomadic lifestyle, and I can go wherever I want, be wherever I want. Okay, guys, this is not good. Let me put this out. So basically, it's just the image that people have of being an entrepreneur is like a total fallacy. It's like, it's delusional. And that's why today I wanted to have this podcast, to just make sure, okay, do you guys even know what comes with it? And of course you hear the success stories of people who made 100,000 with e-commerce or whatever. But generally speaking, that is not going to be your story. So let me just start with some statistics. This just came out. I'm just going to read it from the screen here a little bit, because else it's going to be a little bit too complicated. All right, this is what I need. So from 2013, this was measured until like 2023. And this is, guys, again, this is from the Central Bureau of Statistics from the Netherlands. Why am I confident in using these numbers? Because I think generally these numbers give a very good reflection of the whole situation in the West. Same what you use with America, those type of statistics. I'm talking about Western statistics. I'm not trying to say here that these statistics are applicable in Eastern Europe or Africa or, sorry, not Eastern Europe, or they're in Asia or Africa or in South America. I'm not saying these statistics apply. But if you look at it generally, I think we can draw a pretty good logical conclusion of what's to come. So in the first 5 years that you are a sole proprietor, a ZZP, somebody who works for himself, he's a bookkeeper, whatever your profession may be, in the first 5 years, 50% of everybody who goes to the Chamber of Commerce to say, okay, from the 100 people today that go to the Chamber of Commerce to start a business, 50% of those people in 5 years' time will have quit. So all these people you hear talking about, I'm an entrepreneur and this and this and this and that, know that the chance is 50% that within the first 5 years that person quits. And let me just give you some reasons of why these people quit. Because most people start a business having the total wrong idea, thinking about what it is and all this freedom. Listen, running a business, working for yourself is tough, man. It's hard. There are a lot of things you need to do, and you need to be content with maybe sometimes not having the same amount of money because your business can fluctuate, you know? That's why 50% of people just stop because they just can't handle the insecurity. Within those 5 years, that 50% has not even made minimum wage in the Netherlands. So the most of the people that actually start a business, an overwhelming majority of them, or like that was in this article, more like 80% actually has a job on the side. So everybody you hear speaking, I'm gonna do this business, I have a business, know that business is not their main stream of income. 8 out of 10 times when you talk to somebody else, they have a second stream of income they have, or their main stream of income, which they use to survive, and on the side they want to build that business. But like I said, 50% are never able to do, they just quit. Okay, of the 50% that's left now, of the, let's say 100 people in this case, 30% of those people are able to get minimum wage after 5 years. So they're probably a hobbyist, or they build up their business or on the side and they persevered, and that's how they get to that spot. Let me make sure I say that right. Yeah, so basically what it says that 80% of all people that are entrepreneurs, ZZP'ers, sole proprietorship that start, 80% of them in the first 5 years have trouble making sure that entrepreneurship, that ZZP maintains them. 80% cannot pay their bills fully with one stream of income, they're being an entrepreneur. So that means that 80% of the people you speak to when they are in their business cycle in the first 5 years, when they say they make money, there's an 8 out of 80% chance that they're lying. Because we hear all these stories a lot of time. Every time when you speak to an entrepreneur, it's going to grow, it's great, it's great, it's great. So that means that only 20% is able to make enough income to support themselves within the first 5 years. So everybody of you out there that have this image, oh, we're going to make money right away, just understand there's only a 20% chance of you actually in the first 5 years make enough money to even be able to stabilize yourself, let alone let it be your number one income stream. Yeah. So for all these liars out there who always keep telling, oh, I'm great, I'm stuff, I don't believe you, because these are the statistics. So that's the first 5 years. So you already know in the first 5 years, 50% is going to drop out. That's a fact. The half of the people is going to drop out. So when you meet somebody, especially in my business in finance, right? So customers come and they want financial advice, or they want some fiscal or bookkeeping advice. They come to me. I already know from my head that there's a 50% chance that this business will not exist after 5 years. That's just the biggest thing. And understand, it's not always that they don't make enough money. They can also quit after 5 years because they're just tired of having all the responsibility. And you see that most of the people who are in entrepreneurship in the first 5 years, they transition eventually, that 50% that stops, transitions eventually to being an employee. And So that's the first 5 years. After the next 5 years, so basically 20% in the first 5 years only makes it. In the next 5 years, you see that of these people, a lot of people stop again. Okay, it's a little bit intransparent what happens in the 5 year after this. I'm gonna make sure there's another episode for that. But from what I've read, there are some statistics here, so because they take it from 2013 until 2023. And what you see there is, if you really look at it, I'm just going to keep it really straight. I'm not going to go really into the numbers. I just wanted to keep it for you at these numbers so you can read for yourself what it is. The best industry, at least, for you to go in as a ZZP'er or sole proprietorship is in construction. In construction, you have the highest possibility to at least attain minimum wage as you would as an employee. There's a more than almost 45% chance that you'll make that within the first 5 years, the position. The worst actually is the health industry. Our nurses and those type of things, at least in the Netherlands, they get the chances of you making enough money in that industry is less than 15%. So that's pretty bad. So if you want to be in construction, go for it. You want to be a ZZP'er, you want to be an entrepreneur, the best industries from top to bottom. Construction, specialistic services. So you think like bookkeeping, lawyers, those type of things. After that, it's leisure, so horeca, drinks. After that, like IT, distribution after that, rentals, culture, those are like the main industries. So you have like almost 10 categories. And if you average it out, less than 20% actually gets there. So it's also really dependent on the industry. So if you're in construction, that you have a very good chance of making the money. And this is over a 10-year period, guys. So all the people who just want to sit behind an office to really get to make their money, understand that the biggest chance you actually got being an entrepreneur and making it is when you do something with your hands. This is a fact. This is not my opinion. This is a fact. All right. Did I see any? Oh, gender. All right. Okay. Let's go to the how this equates to men and women. So women actually have a way, that's a big discrepancy in men and women when it comes to making that minimum wage, right? In the Netherlands, they call it super bruto minimum loan. Freely translated, that's about 25K here. So that's what basically we're measuring with. That's not even a lot as an entrepreneur, making 25K. So most people never get to that, even like that 25K level, all right? That's what we're talking about. And within the first 5 years, only approximately 16% of women are able to actually make minimum wage. So only 16%. That's a lot. That's a lot. And with men, that's about 23%. So if you're a man, there's a higher likability, almost 25% chance that you're going to make it. With women, it's 16, 15%. It's really low. When you look at also then again, obviously how many men and women when it comes to who do not make minimum wage. Almost, let me see if I see this correctly, 20% plus like 3 plus 8. Almost 30% of women make less than it. And like the other half, they just quit. Almost 55%, 58% of women, they stop within the first 5 years. That's a given. So there are different factors for that. Women have what we call more variables. They take things into account as a family, life-work balance. They may want to have children. There are a lot of different reasons why women succeed less in it. And obviously, men have a higher inclination to gain resources in that sense. Do I have this right? Yeah, here, 35%. Anything weird in here? Yeah, so and the best age category for you to get minimum wage is between 25 and 45. So if you're below 25, your chances of making it are very low. I think that has to do with maturity levels. And if you're above let's say 55 is when it really gets bad. If you're above 55, your chances also get very low. So you have the best chance of being an entrepreneur in this sense between 25 and 45. Let's say that 20-year age gap. In that gap, you have the best likelihood of getting it because you're probably a little bit mature, you have more understanding of the world, you know better who you are, you have some working experience probably. So that is the best age. So if you're a man between 25 and 45, and your highest chances of actually making it are if you do something with your hands, okay? And yes, 50% of the people will quit. But now let's say after 10 years. After 10 years, this is how you need to, this is how I freely translate it. Of the people who decide to be an entrepreneur. So that's your first variable. So let's say if there are 100 people there, let's say 10 people want to be an entrepreneur. So that's already a very low margin, right? So of the people that want to be an entrepreneur, let's say 100 of those go to the Chamber of Commerce. Less than 5 after 10 years will actually be there. So that, and it will be there. So the meaning, in those 10 years, they either have quit, sold their business, or went bankrupt. And so 5 people only after 10 years are actually still have their business. So 5 or less we're talking about here, 5 or less. So if you're an entrepreneur out there and you have a business for 10 plus years, good job, my friend, because I know for a fact that it's extremely hard to have a business for 10 years. So if you're in that category, that means you're able to see ahead, you're able to adjust your business to whatever may come, and you first and second of all, and third of all in this case, you have a massive passion, man. You must have passion. If you're just out there for the money, it's going to be hard for you to be an entrepreneur for 10 years because it's always your fault, but it's always your when you do it good, it's also your success in that case. But sometimes it can be stressful. You get COVID, and let's say some partners that you work with, they do not renew their contracts. So there's a lot of downside to also being an entrepreneur. All right. So your chances of making it as an entrepreneur, if you meet somebody and after 10 years they still have the same business or whatever it may be, understand that you're talking with somebody who has been through the ups and downs of a business, who's been through that his business did one thing and he needed to change it to survive. Let's say COVID was there, right? And surviving that. So being an entrepreneur for 10 years, actually after 5 years, 50% have already quit. So that's already, if you just don't quit and don't give up in the first 5 years, that's already something, right? But please do not let people tell you I'm an entrepreneur and I do this and that. You understand that most people don't make enough money with it. They're hobbyists, as I call it. They're hobbyists. And we have more than 1 million of these people in the Netherlands. And imagine how it is in other countries, right? So that is it's just very difficult. To talk about like subjects that I wanted to talk about and the correlation that I want to get it, because I wrote some things down. So we have the numbers, the chance of making it, and now the role of AI. So this is the best part, right? So the role of AI is going to change a lot of things within how we see and operate businesses, right? A lot of mundane tasks will be performed by AI machine learning. So the timeline you have of being an entrepreneur is going to shrink in a sense that understand that AI, a lot of places where automation is a key role, or things you can automate, understand that that's going to bring conflict to your business. Because the reason why it brings conflict to your business is because somewhere down the line, you need to have that technology to replace basically some of the human efforts. So the role of AI will also diminish that. So understand that now you're an entrepreneur, but your chances, so this is my claim. So now the chances are, like I said, less than 5 out of 100 will make it 10 plus years, right? So, but that's all. It's not that they always quit. They maybe sell their business or they will go bankrupt. But that's a small minority. The majority will just stop and quit. So, if you get somebody of more than 10 years, that's great, first of all. But you need to understand that my claim, after 10 years, I will think this will only get worse. population increases, that means more competition on the global market in your current market. If there's more competition and AI will take a very prevalent role in society, that means that 5 out of 100 will probably be 1 out of 100. So my claim for the next coming years is that of all the 100 people that go now to the Chamber of Commerce to get their company, 1 or maybe less than 1 will be actually standing in 10 years. That is my claim. Now it's 5. I think it will be 5%. I think it will be 1%. And the main benefactor or the main culprit in this case is the role of AI. Yeah. Okay. Gender differences. I think we went through that. So women have a not high enough possibility. Their possibility is less of making it. But then again, it's not per se it has to do with intellect or whatever. It mainly has to do with choice. So choices regarding their family planning, wanting to work part-time, and understanding that women have maybe not the same proclivity to work as hard as men. Because also mating choices and your status is contingent upon that. Yeah? For men, having work and what you do is a big indicator in what we call like the sexual dating marketplace. And for women, their job and their title is less important in the sexual marketplace. Hence, also those differences. So they are by choice, not by intellect or whatever. Women can be just as successful as men. There's no clear-cut evidence for that. And this is what I really wanted to get at. So, being an entrepreneur, listen, if you go to the Chamber of Commerce and you say, hey, Faye, Mohammed, business BV or whatever, you give it yourself a limited, you give yourself a name and today you start. There's this misconception around the world that just because you have a Chamber of Commerce number, that now you're an entrepreneur. No, totally wrong. Having a Chamber of Commerce number gives you the ability to become an entrepreneur. Do you understand? It's a ticket. It's an opportunity for you to become an entrepreneur. Just because you have a Chamber of Commerce number does not mean a damn thing. It does not mean anything. Because you need to, in the end, cultivate and develop that business. You need to get new customers. You need to get sales. You need to do a lot of things, understand? There's a lot of things that you need to do as a business to make sure that you get to that next level. So this whole thing about, now I'm an entrepreneur. No, this is where it all starts, guys. And what you see, especially now with the role of technology that it places, is that people have this weird conception that you can just become a business and then, now all of a sudden everything is going to become kick-ass. That is not how this thing works. What you need to understand is that being an entrepreneur is a mindset. It does not have anything to do with skill. Being an entrepreneur is a mindset, and you need to have a mindset of understanding that, first of all, you are responsible for everything. That's the first thing you need to understand. Going good, going bad. Even if you have an employee as an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter. It's always your fault. And you need to understand that the cycle of businesses, there's always going to be ups and downs. So being an entrepreneur is not for the mentally weak. I always say, if you want a stress-free life, please do not become an entrepreneur. If people ask me, Faye, how is it being an entrepreneur? Would you recommend it? My first answer is always no. I would not recommend anybody to become an entrepreneur. But why? You have money, you have this, you have that, you have success, or look at the friends you hang around, they also have business, they have success. I said, listen, but you do not understand the sacrifice. If you want to be a good entrepreneur, generally speaking, you need to work at least 50 to 60 hours in your business. Well, 50 is a little bit not enough in my opinion, but for me personally, if you want to become a really good entrepreneur, you need to be able to work at least 55, 60 plus hours in your business a week. And that doesn't need to be 1 week. You need to be happy and content with doing that for months, years. You need to be able to do that. So meaning, if it's just for the money, you will not be able to sustain that. If your only goal with being an entrepreneur is making money, yeah, you're probably not going to make it because the effort you need to make to get that money is pretty intense. And most people, they will never be able to sustain that intensity. Hence, they will get a burnout or whatever it may be, So I would not recommend you to become an entrepreneur actually at all because it's tough. You get all the blame. And also look at the payment structure, right? Let's say you're an entrepreneur. The first person who gets paid, right, is the person who you buy the product from, right? Then your staff gets all the money. then the tax office, banks, whoever you need to pay money to. So everybody gets paid and you get paid last. So being an entrepreneur is when you come to like, if you look at the risk structure of being an entrepreneur, is you take all this risk. And in the end, what's left, that's yours. That's why I say don't become an entrepreneur if you want security, because nothing about being an entrepreneur is secure. So for all these people who say, oh, I just want to have a company, no, because there's a lot of things that come with it. You need to do financial administration, like bookkeeping, file taxes, understand fiscal things about your rules, about your business, so you can maybe pay less tax or structure things better. You need to be able to have good customer service skills, right? You need to be able to be eloquent and communicate with the person, your customer, or whatever it may be. You need to understand marketing. You need to sell your business. You need to be able to set up a plan. You need to understand numbers. You need to understand the thing you're actually good at. Let's say you have a place for fries and burgers. You need to be good at that, but also you need to be good at finance. There are a lot of things you need to be good at when you're an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur is not just I'm going to sell cheese. That's not being an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur is also all the other things around it, which I just mentioned, like legal work, HR. If you look at all these things, when you're a solo entrepreneur, all those things come onto your plate. And you need to have some sort of a knowledge of it, or you need to be able to have access to some of that knowledge in return for some sort of a payment for a service. But in the end, you need to know a lot of these things. And that's what actually gets people out of entrepreneurship. They love baking fries, they love cutting hair, they love doing whatever they want to do, they love being have their own law firm, whatever it may be, but what they do not like is everything around it. And that's, for me, is the biggest reason why most people quit. They love what they do, but they can't do the administration, can't go to the bookkeeper, don't understand this letter, then have to do with the banks, then have to do with licenses. All that stuff around, that is what makes people tired and not want to become an entrepreneur. So if you cannot handle that, so that's why I always say, if you want to be an entrepreneur, your temperament is most important. The more calm you are and the more calm decision maker you are, the better it is for you as being an entrepreneur. So if you are a very emotional person, being an entrepreneur can become very difficult for you, because you will feel times, it's going great, and then it's going bad. As an entrepreneur, you need to be kind of like in the middle. If it's going well, you really don't care. If it's going bad, you also really don't care. You just do what you need to do. So skillful people who think, I have these skills, I'm in IT, or I'm in this and that, I'm sorry, you don't impress me, because I understand that for you to be a long-term entrepreneur, 10 plus years, it's about your mindset. Now, if your mindset is correct, you'll be able to become a great entrepreneur. And the skills you can learn, but the mindset about becoming an entrepreneur, that's the most important to me, right? So it's not made for the mentally weak, and I have one thing I would like to state. I hear this a lot, right? It's in my surroundings, but also on YouTube and influencers. I see this a lot. So people, they make it, right? They make it. They maybe have an influencer channel, or they sell a certain product in e-commerce, or they maybe were good in real estate, or whatever it may be. You see a lot of people make it, right? But here's the thing. Most of the time, the people that make it are what we call one-trick ponies. So they may be good at selling, they may be good at this, they may be good at that. But what did we learn here in the ISA podcast? Intelligence equals adaptability. Because we understand here that the world is going to change again, and again. And one-trick pony, what does he do? He's just maybe good at public speaking for a telecommunications company, or he's good at, let's say, selling a certain product right now. But now comes technological change. That same product that you were selling is now no longer relevant. What are you going to do now? And what I see a lot of times is that we have a lot of one-trick ponies. So they may be good at one thing, or maybe good at YouTube, or maybe good at this, or maybe good at that, but then when time changes, they lose all that money. They don't know how to sustain it. So most people are one-trick ponies. And where you want to get, you don't want to become a one-trick pony. So that's why I say, if the only thing you have is a skill, and now you want to become an entrepreneur, don't do it. Please don't do it. Rather just go into work for somebody who wants to be an entrepreneur, and maybe on the side you do some stuff here and there. But don't become a full-time entrepreneur, because the only thing that's keeping you there is the money and the skill. But I know when you're going to get hit a lot of times, and maybe you're not going to have that sustained level of income. So, or you're going to get problems with, because if you don't work, you don't get any money. Where you're an employee, you do get money. I'm not here advocating that you should be an employee. What I am advocating is that this notion is that if you're not an entrepreneur, you are a loser. And that's the notion I want to get at. Guys, we have a society here, right? We have a lot of different things. Not everybody can be an entrepreneur or a public speaker or whatever. We have a society to run. All these influencers who are telling you, you should be an entrepreneur, you should be an entrepreneur, that's simply not possible. It simply is not possible, because your character makeup may not match being an entrepreneur. Because being an entrepreneur is tough. It's a shark-infested waters. Everybody's trying to get for your grill and is trying to compete for the same spot. So if you don't even have that mentality, it's going to be very hard for you in this world. So yes, you can be an employee. If you're content with that, then fine. But just make sure you become the best employee and gain the best position you can get, right? I have no problem with people who work for a boss. This notion of, oh, if you're not an entrepreneur, you're less, so stupid. It's such a stupid notion, because we need everybody in this society. So one-trick ponies, guys, watch out for that. If some people can have the AMG right now, and in 3 years they don't have the AMG. Why? Technological change. People who are one-trick ponies they're a lot of times the ones who talk the most about their success and stuff. And then in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you don't see them anymore. They're now having a normal job or whatever, you know? So being successful in the long run requires you to understand the game. If you just understand a skill, you'll be successful for a period of time. If you understand the game, aka what brings and makes success, which we cover here, and especially in our formula, then you'll be able to have sustained success, because you understand entrepreneurship is not a skill, it is a mindset. All right. So that's basically my main message when it comes to like statistics and the chances of making it. So guys, understand, man, the chances of you making it, and the first of all, are very low. Not because we want you not to succeed, and this is not because I don't want you to become an entrepreneur that I say, okay, hey, don't do this, but become an entrepreneur and keep in mind statistics. If you need to understand is that your feelings are irrelevant when it comes to entrepreneurship. A lot of times maybe you do not agree with a client or whatever, but you got to keep your feelings out of it. This is a business, and you should get the maximum out of it. So becoming better, getting to the next level, making sure you continuously monitor your business, because that's a thing that a lot of people don't do, right? They get into the business, they work on it, and they just start fulfilling orders or fulfilling their product. And then what happens is that you're just working in your company. You're not working at your company. You're not working to make it better, to make it more sustainable, to maybe have a new staff member, or to maybe have a new IT system that reduces time. What good entrepreneurs do is that they always take time to step back and make sure to look at the company in its whole and see, okay, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing bad? And where can we get quick gains so we can get 1% better here, a new system there, new this here, new contract there. They fix those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. And then in 4, 5, 6, whatever years it is, they have a perfect optimized system, which is able to handle change, which is able to handle a lot of things, right? That's how you get sustained success in the long run. So most people, they just give up. Their ideas are simply not well enough. They haven't well enough thought through their idea. They just think they can open up a business, and then they find out we need to have a financial plan, we need to have a bookkeeper, we need to have somebody who understands these licenses. Once they start going through the list of things and people they need, that's when most people get into despair. So entrepreneurship, yeah, I'm just gonna tell it to you. Entrepreneurship is generally speaking, a very boring life. So for all of you out there who are thinking, oh, this entrepreneur life is such a great and fantastic life. No, it's not. It consists of a lot of discipline, waking up early, doing the same things over and over and over again, doing all those things over and over again. So now comes the question. Then if it's all so bad, then why the hell are you an entrepreneur? Well, that's actually the main question which I wanted to answer today, is the reason why you need to be an entrepreneur is because you have the feel and the need to change something. You see something, for instance, this podcast. I started this podcast because I saw that something was wrong in society with the balance between men, women, and our economic vision for that. And the way we are learning men to get better. I saw a serious issue in that. And for me, why did I do something like this, right? Because I don't need to do this. A lot of people don't need to do this, but you do it because you really want to change something. It means so much to you that you want to change it, and you want to make your life of it, and you want to attach a business model to it. People who are solution-oriented and really want to change something, those are 9 out of 10 times the people I meet who are the best entrepreneurs. The people who I talk to are just, their conversations are a lot about money, the amount of revenue, the amount of this, they're 9 out of 10 times, they're not the entrepreneur you're looking for. Their businesses always have problems with longevity, there are problems with staffing, problems with the general direction of the company. So if you want to do this, you need to be somebody who really wants to change something. I wanted to be financially independent. If there's one thing I would hate is somebody telling me what to do. So that was for me one thing, right? And so everybody has their own opinions, but it cannot just be because of the lifestyle. Because the pain you're going to experience during entrepreneurship is going to be that great. The money is not going to keep you in it. Money cannot keep you in a business that is mentally taxing, or maybe it's not that fun. So the message is you need to have a goal. You need to have a certain goal, which you love, and so much that you're willing to become an entrepreneur to have whatever that is what you have, right? So it cannot be only a financial component. In the end, it will get you out of the game. So yes, guys, being an entrepreneur is tough. So understand from now on, when people speak to you, 50% of all people who become an entrepreneur stop within the first 5 years. They're not able to make enough money equal to minimum wage, right? They're not able to make minimum wage. So if you speak to 10 entrepreneurs, understand there's a 50% chance you're speaking to somebody who says he's an entrepreneur, but is probably going to quit within his first 5 years and is not making minimum wage with his business, meaning he has he's maybe an employee somewhere, which he makes his main money from. So understand that 50% of the people, maybe they don't want to lie to you, but they're lying. 80% of the people who are an entrepreneur are not able to sustain themselves within the first 5 years. So 8 out of 10 people who say they're making money and they're in the first 5 years and they say they're making money, understand there's an 80% chance that they're lying to you. So only 20% of the people who become an entrepreneur within the first 5 years are able to make minimum wage. So that's already making you unique. So from the 100 people that today go to the Chamber of Commerce, within the first 5 years, only 20% will at least make minimum wage. But now comes the kicker. I said make minimum wage. But that means you can also have, let's say minimum wage is 2,000 euros. So if you make 2,001 euros, that's also above minimum wage. So you're put in that same category. But did you think you became an entrepreneur to just make minimum wage? Well, that's how we get to my last 5%, which I said over the 10 years. Guys, 95 people out of 100 do not make money as an entrepreneur. Let me just say it like that. 95 out of 100 people do not make money as an entrepreneur and cannot sustain themselves full-time with that money. That's just the cold-blooded, hard reality. So all these entrepreneurs out here in the Netherlands, I'm all talking to you guys. All you guys who think you have a Chamber of Commerce number and you think you're something. I know for a fact that 95% of you are lying. Now, am I saying that you need to be honest? I don't make any money about that. No, of course, you don't show your weakness, but also don't over-promote yourself. There are only 5 out of 100 people that actually make enough money. And what I mean with make enough, so that 15%, that 20% which I talked about who make minimum wage or above, they still can be broke because they just make €1 more than minimum wage. But in the statistics, they are put in that same category. It's not like, okay, the people who make 50K and higher, 100K. The stats don't say it. They just say they qualify for that. So the people who become an entrepreneur and actually make the money they want to make, let's say 10K a month, that's 120,000 euros a year. That's generally speaking what most entrepreneurs want. 10K a year is 6 figures a year. If you're in the 6-figure category, then you're doing fairly good. So that's an extreme minority. So the people who are just have a business in 10 years, believe me, you are unique. If you're out there and you have a snack bar for 10 years, my friend, you are unique. If you are a hairdresser for 10 years, my friend, you are unique. That makes you, as an entrepreneur, resilient. And that's a character I love within entrepreneurs. Because if I know that an entrepreneur is resilient, is able to hang in there. Guys, just a secret. Did you know how I was able to win in my finance business? In the first 3 years of my finance business, obviously you need to prove yourself, right? So people did not totally trust maybe what I was doing or whatever, right? But what I did is I just hang in there. It was crisis at the time when I started, and I just keep hanging in there. I kept hanging in there. And me also, I did different things to support myself, right? But I kept hanging in there. And now I understand why I made it. Back then I didn't know. And because after 5 years, 50% of all my competitors were already gone by de facto because they just simply couldn't keep up with the grind, right? That's how I got and it's also true. I got most of my successes after the first 5 years. So I totally agree with this. And after that, obviously, I did a lot better for myself. But letting you know, guys, is that, damn, it's hard. Being an entrepreneur, it's hard. It's tough, man. All these fairy tale stories about it, oh, it's so great being an entrepreneur and whatever. No, it's not like that. It's a very systematic way of life, a very intense. You need to prioritize work a lot. You're maybe probably going to miss some birthdays, some family here, some social interactions, but you need to be willing to sacrifice that. That what you want needs to be so great that you're willing to sacrifice a lot of things. So that is the truth about entrepreneurship, guys. This is the cold-blooded reality. So for you being an entrepreneur for more than 10 years, I just want to say to you, I totally respect you. I totally respect everybody who does that. And it doesn't matter what field or what industry you're in. I totally respect for the fact that you, for 10 plus years, for 5 plus years, are doing this. So guys, if you want to become an entrepreneur, this is how we increase our chances. Because we understand that entrepreneurship is a mindset, right? We understand that here. So that's why we have MDW5, our formula. Because that formula prepares you for the mindset you need to become an entrepreneur. So yes, you can become an entrepreneur, but all you need to do is first prepare yourself mentally to become an entrepreneur. So that's why the solution, if you really want to become an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter what age you have. You're 18, you're 25, you're 40 or 45. Understand that you first need to mentally prepare yourself before you can get into entrepreneurship. Yeah, and I would say the best thing to do that obviously is MDW5, right? If you can work on your motivation, your discipline, your willpower, and like your crew of 5 people around you, that's when you have the biggest chance of sustaining success and becoming a good entrepreneur. And also doing it in the long run, right? If you're solo, you have a bad environment, you're never gonna make it, I promise you. 5 people around you are bad, you're never gonna make it. If you're not calibrated, you're never gonna make it. You're gonna be the one-trick pony. If you're not disciplined, come on, obviously you're never gonna make it. And motivation, if you're not motivated, it's really hard to hard. If you just do it for the money, your motivation and discipline cannot keep you in that industry, right? So first make sure you get mentally prepared, then you start your entrepreneurship. And guys, for all the youngsters out there that just want to maybe have some tips and tricks, in a couple of weeks, I'll be starting on LinkedIn. I'll start giving more of these statistics and tips for entrepreneurs to make sure. I just want to make one important statement. So a lot of entrepreneurs I see from my own practice have trouble with reading numbers and understanding what numbers mean, understanding what a balance sheet means, a profit and loss, and what is a limited liability entity, what is a sole proprietorship, what do all these terms, what do all these things mean? I'm working on compiling a class where I'm going to compile all these things into one talk to make sure that you guys have this. Understand and study this, because if you do not study this, it's going to become very difficult for you guys. So make sure you study up on these subjects. We're going to put the statistic links within our link tree on I equals A, the podcast. Make sure you tune in, and I'll see you guys at the next episode. Peace.
Scared men don't win.